환영합니다. Welcome to K-Culture Dive, where we dive deeper into the heart of Korean culture with K-entertainment issues, AI culture news, K-culture in photos, and today our Hallyu People segment, where we meet an award-winning photojournalist. And I'm your host, Kwon So-wa. Let's dive in. Joining me on Thursday's Dive is our co-host Bella Kim. Hello, Bella.
Hi, Soa, and hello, everyone. Joining us today on K-Culture Dive. I'm Bella, here to co-host and fill you guys all in with some exciting K-entertainment news.
Let's get right into K-Enter news, Bella. Year 2026 is especially exciting with many K-pop groups comebacks.
Right.
And this group that we're going to cover today is also highly anticipated. It is
BLACKPINK. They are set to make a powerful comeback next month. Their agency, YG Entertainment, revealed a comeback teaser and announced that the group will release their third mini album titled Deadline on February 27th. This is BLACKPINK's first full-length album release in 3.5 years since Born Pink in September of 2022. The new album shares its title Deadline with their recent world tour, symbolizing a powerful reunion and a new beginning. All the major recording has been completed and the music video have been filmed, with final touches now being made to ensure top quality for their fans.
So not much left until the deadline of their release.
Right.
And now, Bella, we have another girl group with a great achievement.
HYBE's Korean-American girl group Cat's Eye have achieved a meaningful milestone on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. According to Billboard, the group entered 3 songs simultaneously on the main singles chart Hot 100 this week, marking a rare accomplishment for a relatively new group. First, a hit from Cat's Eye's second EP, Gabriella, climbed 1 spot to number 21, setting a new personal best for the group. Their latest release, Internet Girl, also made a powerful debut at number 29, immediately entering the upper tier of the charts. And another track that also made onto the chart is Gnarly, also from their second EP, landing at number 89, giving Cat's Eye a total of 3 entries on the Hot 100 this week. And all 3 songs charting at the same time highlights the group's growing influence in North American music market.
Well, looking forward to more amazing activities by them. And lastly, Bella, let's end with a Korean Netflix film that's making the waves.
That's right. The movie The Great Flood, or Daehongsu in Korean, has topped Netflix non-English film chart for 4 consecutive weeks. According to Netflix, the film has maintained its #1 position for nearly a month since its release on December 19th and has ranked in the top 10 in 56 countries, including Korea, Hong Kong, Indonesia, and also Japan. The film had an especially strong start with 27.9 million views in its first week and recorded 5.2 million views last week, continuing its 4-week streak at the top of the non-English movie category. The Great Flood depicts the struggles of Anna, a single mother of a 6-year-old son, who suddenly wakes up in the middle of a devastating flood that engulfs her apartment complex and the rest of the planet. And she fights to protect her young son as she navigates the flooded building. It's directed by Kim Byung-woo and stars Kim Da-mi and Park Hae-soo. And I can't wait to finally watch it over this weekend. I'm going to catch it this weekend.
Maybe I'll join you there, Bella,
Yes.
but I still have to go through the culinary class wars. But speaking of which, we are now going to go over to our AI anchor Arang for more on the culture front, and she's going to mention something about the culinary class wars as well. So Arang, over to you.
Thanks, Swa. Here's your AI guide to the latest cultural headlines from Korea. Let's begin with our top story. The Seoul Plaza Ice Skating Rink surpassed 100,000 cumulative visitors this week, just 26 days after opening. The rink has drawn an average of about 4,000 visitors per day, exceeding last season's daily average. This season, the rink was redesigned with a yellow-toned, diamond-shaped concept of the winter ring, which enhances the festive winter atmosphere. Additional convenience facilities were installed to improve accessibility and visitor comfort. The ring also played a central role in the 2025 Seoul Winter Festa, which concluded earlier this month, serving as a hub connecting major downtown attractions, including Gwanghwamun Square, Cheonggyecheon Street, and Dongdaemun Design Plaza. 6 in 10 visitors to the National Folk Museum of Korea last year were foreign nationals, highlighting the museum's growing international appeal. The museum said that of the nearly 2.3 million visitors recorded in 2025, about 1.3 million were foreign nationals. The number of foreign visitors rose 103% from 2024, recording the highest level among museums nationwide. Visitor numbers were particularly strong in October, when epic meetings were held, with more than 180,000 people visiting the museum during that month. Amid growing attention following Venerable Sonja's appearance on Netflix's cooking showdown Culinary Class Wars Season 2, Korea's Jogye Order has announced it is reviewing plans to establish a school dedicated to temple cuisine. Speaking at a New Year press briefing on Wednesday, Venerable Jinwoo, president of the Jogye Order's administrative headquarters, underscored the need to create temple cuisine schools that can help people find inner calm through improved mental and physical well-being. He also outlined plans to expand the Buddhist Expo and develop outreach models that better connect Buddhism with different generations. Venerable Sonje has drawn praise for introducing the philosophy of Korean temple cuisine to a global audience. That's all from me. Turning now to a quick look at more K-culture stories making headlines today.
Through a single photo at a time, we take a closer look at culture in Korea. This is K-Culture in Photos. Following Tuesday's Korea-Japan summit, one cultural site in Japan's Nara prefecture is drawing attention. And it's not just a place, it's a statue. This Buddhist statue housed at Hallyu Temple is often known as the 백제 관음상. The statue dates back to Japan's Asuka period and has long been admired as a masterpiece of early Buddhist art. Many believe it reflects strong cultural exchanges between ancient Korea and Japan, though scholars continue to debate its exact origins. Hallyu itself is one of Japan's oldest temples and a UNESCO World Heritage Site, symbolizing centuries of shared history. So, as leaders meet and diplomacy moves forward, moments like this remind us that culture often speaks first, quietly, and across time. This looks like a map, but not a subway map and not a tourist guide either. It's Tujonku map, a real-time guide showing where one dessert is still available. Sounds fun, right? And this map exists because of one thing, the Dubai Chewy Cookie, or Tujonku in short. Right now in Korea, it's almost impossible to find. Bakeries, dessert shops, and even convenience stores are all selling it, and somehow it's always sold out. People line up in the cold and refresh delivery apps, all just to get one cookie. Inspired by the viral Dubai chocolate, this cookie is filled with pistachio cream and fine pastry strands, wrapped in a cocoa-flavored marshmallow-like shell. It's called a cookie, but it's soft and chewy, almost closer to rice cake or tteok. And here's the twist. It has nothing to do with Dubai. It was created in Korea and became a nationwide obsession almost overnight. So, if you ever visit Korea and feel curious about Tujonku, why not give it a try? If you're lucky, you might just find one. Let's take a look at these images. At first glance, they look like something from a sci-fi movie, don't they? But these are not movie props. They're sculptures, part of the Seoul International Sculpture Festa 2026. The event runs from January 14th to 18th at COEX in Seoul, bringing together nearly 500 artists and more than 2,000 works. What makes this festival interesting is how close the art feels. You don't just look at the sculptures, you walk around them and share the space with the sculptures. As the organizers put it, sculpture is an art form that changes space and leaves a memory in the city. With artists, galleries, companies, and even young creators all taking part. This festival isn't just about exhibition. It's about imagining how art can live in everyday urban life. It might look like a library, but instead of books, the shelves are filled with all kinds of Korean instant noodles or ramyeon, each one waiting to be explored and tasted. This is the Ramyeon Library, a playful space where ramyeon isn't just food, it's culture. You can browse different types of noodles and pick one you like and sit down with friends to enjoy it together. Korean ramyeon is just popular at home. It's on the rise globally. Last year, K-Food's iconic comfort dish helped Korea's noodles break a record, with exports topping about $1.52 billion for the first time ever, backed by global interest in Korean culture and cuisine. And the recognition doesn't stop there. The word ramyeon has recently been added to the Oxford English Dictionary. So here in this library, you're not just tasting noodles. You're experiencing a story of culture, connection, and the joy of discovering something that's loved around the world. So now, from history and diplomacy to desserts, art, and ramyeon, these everyday scenes show how Korean culture keeps expanding in the most unexpected ways.
For today's Hallyu People, we invite Hyungwon Kang, a photojournalist and two-time Pulitzer Prize winner who has witnessed wars, terrorism, and historic turning points in democracy up close and captured those defining moments of our time with his camera. As a Korean American, Kang is also committed to spreading Korean culture to the world. In that respect, today he wants to share his thoughts on the spirit of Seonbi, which is rooted deeply in Korean culture and which is the topic of his brand new book. Seonbi were traditional intellectual leaders from Korean history who were respected not just for their knowledge, but for their moral integrity and social responsibility. So let's invite photojournalist and author of the book Seonbi Country Korea, Hyungwon Kang, into the studio. Welcome, Hyungwon,
Hi,
and
Hyungwon.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Nice to see you both.
Right, so Hyungwon, we met almost exactly a year ago on the Culture Wave.
Yes.
And that's when you revealed that you are actually working on a book on the Seonbi spirit.
Yes.
And now a year has passed and we welcome you to K-Culture Dive. So first and foremost, why did you write a book on the Seonbi culture?
Well, this Seonbi book is a product of my 5 years of working in Korea, and I decided to work on this book because there's nothing definitive about Korean history and culture in English language for outsiders to learn more about Korea. And to really understand Korea, you have to understand Korean history, intellectual history, and it's all Seonbi culture.
Right. So what exactly is Seonbi? The question that many global audiences right now probably have. How would you explain it?
Seonbi were not only educated elites, but those intellectuals who pursue not only to become smart and wise, but also to become a sage, just like Jesus Christ, Buddha, Confucius, Socrates. And Seonbi were oblivious to material gain for personal wealth, but they were more interested in being noble, virtuous. And Seonbi had this look that I captured in that photograph.
We have here one, yes.
That's a 동네 학춤. It's a crane dance. But that look of a Seonbi wearing gat and topo symbolizes how Seonbi looks outside of his own space. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. The cut that you mentioned is this Korean traditional hat that we see here.
Right.
All right.
It's very nice to see the photo online, but also like physically in front of our eyes is very catchy as well.
It is.
Yeah, look of a Seonbi is captivating. It has a presence. In Korean expression, it's called 의관 정제. That means you have to be dressed properly to walk out of the house.
Right.
And Seonbis are defined by that. Now, what people don't know is that between Seonbi and Yangban, there's a confusion. And that's part of the the poor education in the 20th century that did not get into the depth of the Seonbi teachings. But Yangban are different. They might look like Seonbi, but they do not carry the virtuous path, the high road that the Seonbis took.
I see. And you've also mentioned that Seonbi spirit lies at the heart of K-culture's global success. So what do you mean by this? Could you please further elaborate on this?
The Seonbi culture has Pungyu, which is arts for intellectuals. And Pungyu includes music, poetry, dance, all of that K-related Hallyu comes from the Seonbi and entertainment.
Oh, I see.
Very interesting. And Hyungwon, the Seonbi spirit is often actually seen as something from the past or maybe too idealistic. And the term Seonbi is even used in a distorted way sometimes. So why do you think is that happening? And why do you think the Seonbi spirit actually matters in modern day life?
So 20th century was a series of historical traumas for Korea. When Korea was colonized, went through war, only after 1953, Korea started modern education for Koreans. And in that process, the teachings that the Japanese laid out in the first half of 20th century persisted. And the cultural annihilation, cultural genocide that they attempted lingered on. And part of that includes absence of teachings about Seonbi. And all the teachings and philosophies that goes with Seonbi philosophy.
I see. And now your book, Seonbi Country Korea, is about Korean culture, but is targeted to someone or audiences outside of Korea. So why do you think, or why do you say now is the time to kind of, right time to introduce this Seonbi culture to global audience?
The 20th century was a century of global wealth for most countries, including the United States. But the Western ways of doing things couldn't solve the disparity between the socioeconomic classes and the widening gap between the wealthy and the poor. That has not been solved by anybody, by any culture so far. The Seonbi culture, if you look into it, offers solutions how to live together harmoniously. And that comes from the foundation principles of Korean people, which is 홍익 인간 philosophy, where you have to be beneficial to people around you. And that teaching about how to become responsible, egalitarian, and citizenship is all Seonbi teachings. And it's about time that the rest of the world should learn about Korean philosophy to perhaps make over the world culture into something better than what it is now, because what it is now is not sustainable.
Now, let's go a little deeper into your book. You just mentioned the philosophy of the spirit, but I noticed that your book is categorized in, was it 4 or 5 chapters, which are very important because they actually show the virtues of the Seonbi spirit. So could you please maybe tell us about those categories first and then talk more about the photographs?
Sure. Basically, Seonbi philosophy is defined by 5 value words. One is discipline. Discipline is basically fundamentals of Korean culture, where we value education as the most important thing for everybody. And that explains why we have 0 illiteracy in Korea, because everybody's educated. The discipline also teaches you how to behave properly with proper protocols and manners. And this discipline also teaches you how to be courageous at times of need. And if you think about Korean history, each time the country was attacked, the people rose up, defended the country. That happened in 1592, Japanese invasion of Korea, which was a failure because people rose up. 300 years later, when Japan finally succeeded in colonizing Korea, Koreans also rose up, and they had endless struggle through the end of the World War II. So all those spiritual foundations comes from the courage that the Seonbi philosophy teaches. And then if you look at Korean history, Korea is the only country where we have a birth date of our written language, Hangul,
Right.
훈민정음. Well, when King Sejong the Great, I call him Seonbi King. King Sejong the Great, Seonbi King, when he invented 훈민정음, he basically shared knowledge and tools to become knowledgeable to everybody. So common people were able to educate themselves, express themselves. So I call that inclusion. And when the inclusion included all the way to all the slaves who were part of the Joseon dynasty, King Sejong the Great extended not only postpartum, maternity leave after slave women deliver babies, he even granted a month of leave before the delivery of the baby to make sure that everybody's healthy. That kind of egalitarian values were introduced in the 15th century by a Seonbi king, for example. And of course, and when it comes to defending Korean values, Admiral Lee Sun-shin protected the country in 1592. And what did he use? He used hagikjin. Bella, you have the crane wing formation that I photographed. That's a pair of cranes going toward a target. And that naval tactic was what Lee Sun-shin used to beat Japanese in 1592. Ironically, 300 years later, Japanese Navy used that against Russian Navy and defeated them in 1905. And then that's how they took over Korean peninsula. But hagikjin is also the cover of the book.
Oh.
And so I talk about crane wing formation. And what's important here is the knowledge that comes with the Seonbi culture. And because the education, it delivers innovation, knowledge. So world's first time bomb that was used in Korea, 1591. That's when it was invented, and that was of course used against Japanese in the war. So I talk about those innovation as wisdom that comes from knowledge, and then when you have discipline, courage, inclusion, and wisdom, when you have those four components, what do you have? You have trust, and we call that honor, honoring each other as individuals. And the democratic egalitarian values that we practice in Korea now is basically a product of the honor system that we have, where everybody participates, everybody carry their own weight. And Seonbi, as leaders of our society and community, they always walk the walk. They always walk the talk, meaning their words and their actions always match.
Right.
And that brings sincerity and trust between each other.
Yeah. And Hyungwon, as we are already talking about your photographs, there is one more that we have. And could you tell us about another significant that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, well, Korea was a country of tigers until 1924. And Seonbis have many encounters with tigers because Seonbi would travel to Hanyang, the capital city, to take the National Civil Service exam. And they would encounter tigers, so I mentioned that in the book. And Korean tigers, of course, are part of the Siberian tiger family. And it completed the food chain on Korean land. And we hope that someday that they return back to Korean mountains.
And this is the beautiful tiger that we're seeing.
Yes.
So, Hyungwon, how is it actually different from taking these photographs about Seonbi culture from the usual on-the-ground reporting that we know of, that you usually did?
Yeah. As a photojournalist, my goal and my objective always is to look for storytelling pictures. And I found plenty of stories with Korean history and culture. And there are more than 200 photos in this book. And I can write a column about each of those photos. So each photo carries a story about Korean history and culture. And readers will walk away after reading this book and going through the book that the Korea is indeed the Far East Asia's most ancient history and culture.
That is probably the message that you would like to convey to all the readers around the world. And on that note, finally, could you also tell us about some upcoming exhibitions I heard that you are going to hold in the States, right?
Yes. As part of my book launch, I'll be hosting a book talk in Los Angeles on January 29th, and in New York City on February 5th. And in Washington, D.C. on February 9th. I'll be talking about the books, and there'll be a photography exhibition, Seonbi photography exhibition in LA from January 29th through March 10 at the Los Angeles Korean Cultural Center.
All right. Well, thank you very much for making your time during your pretty short stay in Korea, because you must be busy preparing for that exhibition as well. And thank you for spreading the culture of Korea to the world through your photos as well as your writing. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on this program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Bella, as always. So we're going to see you here back soon.
Yes, I'll see you back soon.
Thanks for watching and your interest in everything K-culture. Please tune in again tomorrow, 2 p.m. Korea time. And keep diving.